Hey, this is Joel Cameron. Thanks for joining me on this video. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you a trick on how to restore lost attack. Sometimes people, when they're tracking drums, will get carried away with compression. I'll occasionally get tracks in where the snare drum has no attack. They've used an 1176 or something with a really crazy fast attack on it to bite the front end or the transient off of the signal itself, so the snare drum winds up sounding like this. I can turn it up loud, but it still sounds far away because the attack has been removed from the actual waveform itself. And because it is so compressed, there's a lot of leakage, which I can get rid of with some noise gating or downward expansion or something like that, to some extent, but I can't go too far with that reduction or that bleed. If I go fast enough that the bleed's not a problem, then the snare sound becomes very, very short, very staccato, and so it has no attack and no body, and that's not good. If I use a nice mellow release with too much reduction, then you're going to hear it releasing. You're going to hear all that leakage kind of going away after each hit. So what I want to do is I just want to kind of find the spot in the track where this is going to sit tonally, like just kind of ignoring from the moment the fact that it doesn't have any attack. And where does it kind of need to sit? Well, probably somewhere around there. But obviously, if you put the guitars and vocals and things over that in the mix, you're not going to get much snare drum. So how do you add attack to that short of using samples? Well, what I'm going to do is show you a way to do that. I'm going to create a new track, and I'm going to call it like duplicate snare or something. Put it over here next to the snare drum track. And by the way, I don't have a bottom track in here. I've taken it out of this session, just because sometimes I'll get things in also that don't have a bottom track. And this same technique can be used for mimicking a bottom track. But that's another story. It's probably another video. I probably won't get too much into that here. I just want to show you how to add attack. So I'm going to take the snare drum track itself. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to drop it down here on the same timeline. If you zoom in, these are going to be identical. all this visual that I've got here, these are absolutely identical. Anyway, basically is what I'm trying to say. Same track, same timeline. Now, because I'm using version 8 of Pro Tools LE on my laptop, there is a time delay every time you introduce processing. So because there's an EQ on this other snare track, I'm going to copy that EQ over here, and then I'm just going to bypass it. So it's not actually doing anything other than compensating for the delay. And I'm going to go add an expander to this copy, this clone of the snare track. And again, to compensate for the delay, I'm going to move that expander over to the original track, but I don't want to actually use it, so I'm going to bypass it. Now the delay is compensated for. Come back to the duplicate track here, and I just want to find the, hello. There we go. I just want to find the attack. So I'm going to use really, really fast attack on this. Okay. That's pretty good. It's getting opened by other things, so I'm going to use these filters here. Trying to find something that's going to... We'll see what that does. Okay. I'm not going to waste more time, but generally I'm going to try and zoom in as much as possible on the snare, on the attack. I'm going to use a fast release, fast attack, so I get all the attack transients that exist. I'm going to use fast release, very little hold. I'm just trying to just get the attack, right? And because it's parallel and compensated for time-wise up here, I can bring that into the mix, and it will add attack to the original track. Now, because this other one is EQ'd, I can go ahead and use the EQ on it. sometimes I find that's not necessary for the clarity. I just find that the attack, the body of the attack. Now if I remove it, here, without it, with it, you've got the attack that you didn't have before. By itself, the attack sounds terrible. But with the sustain of the original track, you've now restored the lost attack. And you can find, and then you can actually come along and group the snare together while you're doing a mix group or something, if you want, and then you can control it together. But there we go. Voila, she is done. So that's a nice trick. It's a helpful trick. It's a way to restore the attack that's lost by bad compression techniques when tracking without resorting to samples. Sometimes samples work real well. Sometimes it's hard to find one that really, really blends, and you lose the nuances, and and sometimes they don't exactly trigger totally perfectly, and all sorts of problems that you get when you introduce samples. This is a way of using the original track and effectively restoring what has been lost. Thanks for checking this out. Please check my other videos, and also occasionally check my blog at joelsmixup.blogspot.com. Boy, that was a mouthful. joelsmixup.blogspot.com. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it.